Dispersal by Sleepsculptor is a rough metalcore album that is just absolutely layered with so much going on. It's hard to talk about because you really have to analyze every single element from the guitar work, the electronics, the vocal work, and just everything going on in order to really understand how good this is and what they're really doing. I think it's definitely refreshing for the metalcore genre. It borders, I would say, it's hard to just really call it metalcore because it pulls from so many different genres, whether it's deathcore, mathcore, just straight up metalcore, grindcore. I mean, they've really kind of brought in so many different elements and combined them into something great. My first introduction to Sleepsculptor was when I was listening to, or actually going to a show for the band Callous Boys, and they were on the ticket, and they were one of the opening bands, and I watched them, and I was like absolutely blown away. Their energy on stage is just absolutely unrivaled, especially between the dual vocalists. I think that they really complement each other well, and they're just all over the place, and it's something that really translates well onto their recorded albums. You kind of really hear that going on, and it's something that I think is not done a lot, especially now these days, or even back in the day in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, where these kind of bands and genres were rising a bit. Usually you kind of had like a clean vocalist and a unclean vocalist kind of paired back and forth together, and while it was a nice compromise there, the fact that they both have the range to scream and sound completely different. Their screaming complements each other. I think is just absolutely fantastic. The way that they control their voices and use it as its own instrument, and that's one of the layers that I talk about. If you strip away everything, you still have the vocal work and you still have everything there. And I think that's something that really just needs to be praised because it's something that's just absolutely relentless and chaotic, and they've really just nailed that and captured that with the two vocalists thing can be a gimmick, but here it really works. Instrumentally as well, like I said, they pull from so many different genres and really never mimic any. They kind of make them their own. It's as if they poured everything into a blender and just decided to create something new. You've got these dirty growls that you'd expect in something from a deathcore album. You've got these blast beats that you might hear on something like a grindcore. The guitar work, you've got a ton of just panic chords and drop chords. It really is. There's just so much going on here, and everything kind of stands out. I mean, the bass line, if you took the bass line away, it wouldn't be the same. If you change the guitars, it's not something that would be the same. And when it comes together, it really just feels like some sort of hellish freight train barreling down on you there's no way of stopping it. And I mean that in the best way possible. And a lot of that can happen. A lot of bands can do that, but they oftentimes have trouble with differentiating between their sounds. And that was one of the things that I felt like with early Sleepsculptor albums or EPs or songs, they kind of felt similar to other bands within these genres, like for instance Tony Danza Dance Extravaganza. It felt like they were kind of pulling too much into trying to mimic that style and that sound. But here on Entry Dispersal, I really think that Sleepsculptor has just kind of found their own style, and I think that it really shines through. I think a lot of help comes from the guests that they have on this album, such as Carson Pace of the Callous Boys, and Sean Richmond of Arsonist Gets All the Girls. I think that they bring a unique flair and flavor to these songs and to this album, and it really kind of helps elevate it. But even when they're doing things on their own, it still kind of stands out a bit. And it's really impressive that they can release something this early that stands out that well. While making music like this, it's really easy to kind of get lost within the crowd, but I really think that Sleepsculptor have managed to actually make a name for themselves, and they've really kind of come together and just created something unique, chaotic, wonderful. And I've had the album on repeat. Again, this is another review I'm doing a bit late, but I'm doing for a couple of reasons, and I'm glad that I was able to let the album sit with me, because I still kind of put it back on and listen to it from back to forth. It's not a super long album, so it's really easy to do, and I would say that if you're into this stuff, it's very accessible. It's very easy listening, as hard as it is to describe it as that, because it is absolutely chaotic and loud and unrelenting. It really is something that you can put on, and just by the end of it, you're finding yourself hitting repeat. So Sleepsculptor with Entry Dispersal, I think they've really kind of found what their sound should be, and what they can do, and I think it's an immense amount of talent that's on display here. So I'm really hoping to hear more from them. I'm excited for their next LP, which is hopefully going to be coming soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to make sure to talk about this album. If you haven't heard it, make sure you go pick it up now. Thank you so much for watching the review of Sleepsculptor's Entry Dispersal. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you have listened to this band, if you like this stuff, let me know. I want to hear from you. Make sure you like this video as well, and subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date. I am back. I am making more videos, so you're definitely going to want to make sure that you are subscribed so you can know when I'm dropping them, and be the first to like and subscribe and then get those views up. I appreciate it, and definitely take care.